Welcome to my podcast. This is Sheelaa M Bajaj. I'm a numerologist, a tarot card reader, a life coach, a motivational speaker, and an author. I've authored a book called The Love Mirage. This is episode 4 of my podcast. And if you haven't listened to the others yet, I suggest that you listen to them because every week we talk about a different topic and a different concept. And this episode is focusing on receiving. A little bit about myself. I have been doing this for the last 18-20 years, and if you look at it all in all, maybe 25 years, professionally, unprofessionally. When I was just out of school, I became a healer, and then eventually took on different parts of my journey, learning, teaching. I did television. I did a television show in 2007 to 2008. I've appeared on different news channels. I have done lots and lots of work. I've worked for a de-addiction center. I've taught meditation to people. And there's just so much work that I've done with radio. I've been doing radio for the last 12 years. And it's just been a very, very interesting journey, all in all. And here I am talking about different topics every week or every episode. Because I'd like to bring this to the world. I'd like for my coaching and my talks to reach out to people and for you to create a more expansive and phenomenal life for yourself. So this episode is really about receiving. And it seems like a very simple topic because we think about what is really receiving. Now, this ties into a lot of the previous episode. So it's very, very important for you to first have listened to the previous one, the episode 3, which was on honoring yourself. So if you haven't listened to that yet, I'd suggest that you listen to that before this one for sure. So what is receiving? One part of honoring yourself is also about receiving. And so what is receiving? Receiving is one of the things that we actually refuse the most in this world, in our life. Because receiving is something that we're taught is wrong or is bad. Receiving is just being willing to receive. Whether it's receiving a gift, receiving money, receiving help, is receiving contribution, receiving love, receiving gifts, receiving money, receiving niceness. There are lots of times people want to be nice to us and we just don't receive it. And receiving from people is something that we sort of think it's only material. A lot of times these are things which are non-material. Now there are lots of reasons why we don't receive. 1, we do not honor ourselves, right? So you put yourself last. 2, we always receive with a thought that we need to pay this back. So we receive with an energy of obligation. It sort of sits like a little cherry on the icing. It's like whether you like it or not, I'm here. Now I've received this from you and I have to pay you back. And when we do that, it's like, okay, I'm going to give you an example for you to understand receiving, okay? So when I buy my mom clothes, I love buying her clothes. There was a time that she used to buy all my clothes. And now when I can do it, I buy her all her clothes. So I love buying my mom clothes and I love buying people that I really care for. I like buying them a lot of things, right? And I like buying them things that really mean something to them or that they need most. So when I do that for my mom, I sort of go a little overboard when I buy clothes. I tend to overdo it because I really dislike shopping. So when I do buy stuff for her, I just buy whatever I see and everything. So it's just simpler. Now when I do that, instead of feeling happy, she goes into, why did you buy this? Why did you waste so much money? I didn't need this. You shouldn't have shopped. So a lot of times people just push away kindness and push away love, push away caring by doing that. What if you could just receive it and just say thank you and just, a lot of times we end up going into why did you do it? You didn't have to, because we go into a shock. That's why we react like that. You shouldn't have, I didn't need the clothes. Why did you waste money? Is actually saying I don't deserve this. Is actually saying this is too much for me to take because I shouldn't be receiving so much. So people go into shock because they can't put themselves in a place that, hey, I'm special. It's fine for someone to treat me like a princess. Hey, I'm special. I'm number one priority for my wife or for my girlfriend or for whoever. This is a demonstration of her love and caring. I mean something to her and I am special. Why can't we think like that? It's like when a husband does something for his wife, instead of saying thank you and feeling good about it, you say you didn't have to, you shouldn't have. It's just pushing the person away. The next thing that we do is we go into this whole thing of I need to pay it back. So let's say a friend bought you lunch or bought you a gift from a trip that they went abroad. Immediately you go into, what can I give her back? Because what you're trying to do mentally is you cannot receive, right? It's just too much. It's too overwhelming to receive. So immediately what you do is you go into a mode of I need to pay this back. Now when you do that, you basically don't receive and you've kicked the person away. And please remember a time that someone did that to you. Is when you, let's say, cooked something for them out of kindness and love. Let's say you bought someone something. Let's say you bought your mom something or you bought your kids something. And immediately they wanted to settle the scores, settle accounts and just pay you back and then they would be calm. What would that do to your universe? Like, would that make you feel good? Like, you thought of the idea of buying them a gift. You thought of the kindness. You thought of the special surprise or the treat. And this person cannot receive it, instead pushes it away and says, only when I settle this and give this whatever in a different form back to you, then we're like settled. Would you feel good about having those scores settled? When a person's giving, you actually want to feel wow about giving it. Because you went through the whole process of thinking of it, giving it, gifting it. It's almost it's like that person stole away the joy of you giving. It's stolen. It's taken away from you. It's like I planned this entire birthday surprise for someone, or I put this thought and this idea that I want to buy this special someone a gift, and then I buy it, and then this person pays it back. So isn't that just stealing away the whole emotion of me giving? Hasn't that just robbed me of my whole idea and the intention I put behind giving? So that's what happens when you don't receive. You actually rob the other person. You deprive them of the joy of giving. And that's unkindness to them. I'm going to say that for sure. Because I've done that in my life, where someone just gave me something for the sheer joy of giving it to me. But I had a problem receiving. I've always had problems with receiving. So when I did that, when I went out of my way to like do other things for them, it sort of just created a weird energy in that relationship. Because it just couldn't receive their love for what it is. So what if you could just change your way of operating and just receive for the heck of receiving? And just say, hey, I'm special to this person. And you know what? It's possible. I am that special. I can be special to someone for someone to do this for me. So before we learn to receive, you have to listen to the audio or the podcast about loving yourself and honoring yourself. It's only when you love yourself, you will allow someone to treat you wow. You will allow someone to treat you royal. If you do not know what it is to receive from yourself, if you do not know what it is to honor yourself and receive from yourself, and if you haven't gone through the whole journey of honoring yourself, you cannot receive it from someone else. And hence relationships are something that we all grapple with because we do not know how to receive. We don't know what it is to receive love, receive nurturing, receive care. And then we say, nobody loves me. What if you could just shatter every single wall mentally? Write down a list of places in your life that you've not been willing to receive. So many times we find money on the street, we don't pick it up. Or we pick it up and we go and give it to someone else. That's not receiving. So many times somebody paid you extra money. We go into the whole morality of, oh my God, this person gave me extra. What if that's the universe's way of giving you? Really? What if you found something somewhere? That's the universe's way of giving you something. Stop making everything about morality and, oh my God, this is wrong and this is right and this is imbalanced and this is balance and that is karma. Sometimes you've just got to take all that logic, put it aside, and just be a sucker for receiving. Just receive it. Just be porous. Just be like a sponge. Receive from yourself, receive from your husband, receive from your wife, receive from your parents, your kids, your friends, known people, unknown people, and see how that expands your life. When you shatter all these walls of receiving, you will turn into a different person. You become a magnet. It's like my last birthday. I received 9 cakes. And I'm not kidding. 9 full cakes, like birthday cakes. I received 9 cakes. I received flowers. I received gifts. I received, my goodness, it was overwhelming. I got surprised at 12 o'clock in the night from a friend. I had another friend who surprised me a few hours before that. I had people taking me out, people buying me from buying me cake to buying me flowers to buying me presents. It was a crazy birthday. Now, of late and in the last few years, I have opened up my receiving, and how I have shattered all those walls from receiving even criticism and let it just flow past me, and receiving all everything without a filter, without a wall. I've not limited myself that this is what I'm going to receive and this is who I'm going to receive from. Receiving is receiving with no discrimination. So many times I've had people who work for me, my staff, come and cook something for me and bring it to me. And I receive that as well. I don't go back into the superiority of, oh, so I am more, well off than that person, and I'm going to have to do this, and this for this person. No, I just receive it for the sheer joy of receiving. And when I feel like giving something to them, I will give it not with trying to settle accounts. I give it for the sheer joy of gifting and not attaching an expectation to it. The true joy of giving is when you actually have zero expectation from it. Is when you're giving it just for the sake of giving, because that person means something and you are just giving it because you're giving it. The reason we feel an imbalance is when we have an expectation attached to giving. And the reason we cannot receive is because we've put an obligation when we receive. That takes away the entire magic of receiving and giving in this reality. And hence we have so much trouble and imbalance in relationships because we've just messed the whole cycle up. So what if we could just receive without attaching any drama to it? Any stories, any justifications, all of that. What if we could just eliminate every single part of drama from receiving? What if receiving was just about, hey, I could be special, I am special, and I'm just going to receive it because I love me and because I deserve it. Most times we don't receive because we think we don't deserve something, or we think it's too much. And the whole idea behind thinking that it's too much when you receive something, it's like when my mom receives too many clothes from me, she feels it's too much. So what we're really doing when we quantify that what we're receiving is a value. And what we're indirectly doing there is also setting a value on what we can receive. So if someone, let's say, buys you, let's say, a chocolate, you're okay with it. But if someone buys you a cake, the discomfort level goes higher. If someone buys you some, maybe 5 clothes, it's even higher. Someone bought you a piece of jewelry, it goes crazy. So what we've done is put a monetary value on what we're receiving, and we've also put a value on how much we think we can receive. There's a cap. Sort of like there's a limit to which we have a comfort. Like, I'm okay to receive something that's within this much money or this value because I think it's okay to receive that. So, I mean, how much of yourself have you put into a value or a worth that I'm worth receiving only this much? So really it goes back to loving yourself, honoring yourself, and changing your point of view or your perspective about not really putting a value to you. You're priceless. Why do we think that that's such a difficult thing to look at? Is thinking that, hey, I'm really special. Would you put a value to what you gave someone you deeply loved? Let's say you were gifting your parents something, and you were just looking at gifting something that they really, really need. Would you actually put a value to it? So a lot of times we work in this conflictual way of being, where we are able to look at other people and recognize their importance, but we're not willing to look at that I could be important in someone's life. And true receiving is really being okay with the fact that I could be really special to someone else. And receiving when they tell you that is not just saying, how could I be? So it really starts with changing your perspective about yourself, changing what you think of you. And it really helps if you can get off that stance of badgering yourself and thinking that you're of no value, you're not valuable, you're no good, you're not worthy. We do all of this self, this self-deprecating talk, this self-abuse, because really doing the self-deprecating talk is really about abusing yourself. And even though we don't abuse other people, if you are doing this to yourself, you're abusing yourself, and you are abusive as a person. So honoring yourself and stop and getting out of this thing that we do, it's an addiction. Oh my God, there are so many people I've seen, and I know because I used to be that, is when people give you a compliment, you can't even receive a compliment. It's like when people would tell me that I looked attractive or that I looked good, it almost felt like they were lying. Like, why would someone do that? Unless they really had some hidden agenda. They could lie about anything. So no matter what anyone says, you have this wall, because behind that wall you believe that you're pathetic. You believe that you're really, really terrible, you're horrible, you're not good looking, you're ugly perhaps. The self-deprecating talk that you do to yourself stops your receiving, makes you undervalue yourself, devalue yourself. It makes you not honor yourself, not love yourself. And ultimately, you're going to have not that sparkly wow vibration that goes into the universe. It's going to be all pokey, needles, harsh, toxic. What are you going to attract when you have all of that toxic thing inside of you? One, you're going to have people who will tell you the exact same thing. You will have people tell you the exact same things that you think about yourself. So receiving, the first step to receiving is to really love yourself and honor yourself. And then to shatter all those barriers and walls. And the last part of receiving is to really stop putting a value. So receiving is not just about receiving material things, but receiving a compliment. It's about just receiving and saying, hey, yeah, thank you. And drop your walls to receiving. You will not believe the kind of magic that shows up. Sometimes in the form of food, sometimes in the form of love, hugs, flowers. It could be anything. It could just be kindness and caring. Sometimes receiving that kindness and caring is so beautiful because it comes in all forms and shapes. Like nowadays I receive caring from people whom I mentor and people who are on my study group in all forms, size, shapes and gestures. Like if I have a health trouble, I have someone buying me medication for it because they know that I probably need that and it's from a certain place. If I like a certain food, I have people getting me that food every single time. When they celebrate their birthday, I have people buying me a cake. I mean, it has no boundary. People buy me clothes, people sending me food, people making my favorite dish for me. So receiving is really receiving and, having no walls, no barrier, no shield, no armor, and saying that I'm willing to be as vulnerable and as, just allowing yourself to just flow and say, okay, I'm a sponge. I'm willing to receive like a sponge. And when you open yourself to receiving that much in your life, you will start to become a magnet for money and prosperity. And even though you're probably not opening your receiving for money and prosperity, or you could be, but it changes that reality in your life. You start to receive opportunities, you start to receive praise, fame, recognition, it all. And because you're radiating at such a wow frequency, you're going to attract wow things in your life. You're going to start receiving wow things in your life. You're not going to have someone come and give you an old shoe in your hand. You're going to have a lot of nice, fine things come to you. Like I always receive the best chocolates as gifts. So receiving is really allowing yourself and opening up to a whole world that you never thought was possible. So summing up and doing a recap on what we spoke today was receiving without obligation, receiving without trying to pay the other person back, because you're really stealing them off the joy of gifting. Receiving and receiving with not quantifying or putting a value on yourself that I'm okay to receive this much. Because really when you don't receive, you're measuring and you're saying that I'm only worthy of this much. And how much is that belittling yourself? Receiving is also about I don't deserve it. I cannot take. It's good to give and bad to receive those judgments that have been ingrained into our consciousness. So getting rid of all of that is going to be a process and a journey. And receiving is also about just saying, hey, I could be really special to someone else. And you'll start to receive when you really start to honor yourself. True receiving cannot be done if you do not honor yourself. And the first place of receiving is receiving from yourself. I hope this journey has started changing and shifting something within you. I hope this unleashes a part of you that you never knew existed. A lot of people do get back to me and give me feedback on how it changed their relationships, how it changed their money reality, how it changed their business, how it changed just the way they are, how the way they function in this universe. So write to me. I would love to hear from you. If this audio and this sound, if this episode resonated with you, if it created something in your world, if it changed something after you implemented it, or you just heard it now, you can connect with me on Facebook, Sheelaa M Bajaj. You can just find me on Facebook. You can write to me on Sheela@sheela.com. Sheela with a double A, SHEELAA @sheela.com. And if you do not find me anywhere, you can just Google me up and you will find me somewhere on the internet. I hope to hear from each one of the people who listen to this. And if there's someone in your life who's grappling with receiving, if someone who's living this life of a martyr, a friend, a parent, someone who's just constantly giving and never receiving, you want to gift them the joy of receiving, share this video with them. Share this podcast with them. Share this audio with them. And maybe that's the first thing that they will receive. Maybe that's the beginning to them receiving. And that's the kindness you can share with anyone and everyone around you. So my request to each one of the people, if this audio changed something for you in your receiving, or if it made you honor yourself, share this episode, share this podcast with your friends, on your Facebook, on your social media, and make a difference and pay it forward. Pass it on. Whenever you receive a kindness or a piece of something that moved you, pay it forward and do that for someone else. Be that force that you would like to receive from the universe. Be that for someone else. Share this audio and I'd love to hear from you and connect with you perhaps in person someday. For now, this is Sheelaa Bajaj signing off. Next episode, I'm probably going to talk about another topic that will again change your reality. So let's be on this journey together. For now, this is me signing off. I would love to hear from you. Bye-bye.